Hey there, aspiring guitarist. It's Friday. Prayers for everybody dealing with the hurricane in the Gulf that's hit landfall and made its way through. I have a living in Alabama. We're impacted, but nothing like the ones that are actually in the Gulf and the trajectory of the hurricane, Georgia, the Carolinas, and things like that. I lived in Florida for over 5 years out just outside of Panama City when I was in the Air Force. And I can't tell you, people that have lived there and had to run from a hurricane, it's something. So prayers for them. And God bless the people that help those that are running. I remember packing up my family with just one child at the time and going from Panama City, Florida. We had to go up to Dothan, Alabama, to a Red Cross shelter, and then wonder if we had a home to come back to. And we did suffer some damage. The insurance company took care of it, but everybody was so kind to us, and so prayers for everybody affected by the hurricane. Today, I want to talk about the pros and cons of having a big guitar collection like I have. I'm not going to get into why I have this collection other than to hit you very briefly. If you followed my channel, you know about the hand condition I have. I still have it, even though I've overcome it. Now I can play. Now I can stretch my hands out and make chords again. But when I turned, I'm fixing to be 64. When I turned 57, the Dupuytren contracture, also known as Viking disease, had gotten so bad I couldn't even make a C chord. And as I've told you in previous videos, and I'm not your doctor, but my doctor recommended cutting back on gluten because it's inflammatory, and I'm not your doctor. You go talk to your doctor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what worked for me. I'm an insulin dependent diabetic as well. So that was a good move for me to make. About this time last year, I started playing again, and it was a blessing from God. And so part of my guitar collection was doing many things. I was retired. I wanted to get back to playing again. I taught all my sons. I wanted to get my family. Got lots of grandkids, guitars. I wanted to figure out as my left hand got stronger and stronger and stronger what guitars were comfortable for me to play. So enough of that. Let's actually talk about the pros and cons of having a, a larger guitar collection. Okay, the pros. And I'm winging this. I don't have my chalkboard up. I mean, as you can see, I have some guitars. Those cases and those cases. Yeah, these over here and those in the little semi closet area. Those are all full of guitars too. So, so the pros of having that many type guitars is different. I play differently for different types of guitars. Y'all know I'm an acoustic guy. I mainly love acoustics. But I had a Ibanez Black Beauty Les Paul in high school when I was in a folk group, a gospel group. We even cut an album in the gospel group I was in. So I'm not unfamiliar with electricals, and I have a lot of electrics. Most of those are in the guest bedroom. You've seen me do videos from there, but I don't. My middle son Justin, all three of my sons play, but my middle son probably is the biggest hobbyist guitarist, and he outplays me by far, and I'm glad. Um, as a father, I want to be outdone by my children, especially in something that I taught them. To me, it's a blessing. But now he really gets into chasing that just perfect sound, and He tinkers with his amps and he does all things. But I like electrics. I kind of lean to semi hollows. I kind of lean to unusual semi hollows like the Acoustasonic Jazzmaster, a Godin nylon string electric, things that I can play with, a bass six guitar, um, just different things. I do like electrics. I have a lot of acoustics. So the pros are I play different and I develop different skills by having different guitars, but it certainly doesn't justify the amount of guitars I have. If there is even a justification, this is my beloved hobby. I don't really need to justify it to anybody, but I am letting you know what the pros and the cons are. So another pro is that that I can play different styles. I practice my scales starting on a smaller baby Taylor or the Little Martin, my little Texas Epiphone, because to me it's important that you get the scale right. I've always told y'all go slow. You can work to going fast. So that helped me as I was strengthening my hands and learning to stretch on the major scales and the minor pentatonics and things like that. So, I usually start my scale practice off on the smaller noodling guitars. And then later in the day, I'll move up to usually my Taylor GS Mini or something like that. And then I finally, before the day's out, I move up to my Martins and Gibsons. And I play differently. There's some I like to strum. There's some I like to finger style. There's some I like to do arpeggios. So that is a big advantage to having multiple guitars. Now, there's always that number. So what's that magical number? I don't have a clue. If you want 100 guitars, and that's your business. I'm a big advocate of don't take away from your family. Don't let any hobby take away from loving and caring for your family, because then it becomes an obsession and gets turned into an idol that can take you down a really bad path. So, as much as I may look like a good guitar fanatic, I don't dismiss visiting my children, doing things with my wife. Even if she's sitting on the couch after she's finished work, knitting, I may be sitting there playing guitar, and we're just enjoying each other's company, and I'm enjoying seeing her do her craft, and she's enjoying seeing me do mine, and she plays guitar as well. So that's the pros. Now, and you may think, well, I bet you're really fixing to lay into the cons. Well, I am going to lay into some of the cons because it's something you need to think about, especially on something that... Let me go back to the pros before I go to the cons. I do have a couple more. The guitar can be a very low-maintenance hobby. You may think, boy, you're out of your mind. Well, you might initially invest something, but you can get good guitars now for between $100-$200 that you can play and will serve you well. You do need to know what you want to do with the guitar. A lot of the reason that I'm getting and whittling down my collection, and I'm going to whittle it down greatly. I'm already doing that locally. I've already told y'all I'm not shipping guitars. You want to ship them, that's your business. I'm not doing it. I'm very select about the way I list a guitar, put it out. If you go back and look, a fantastic gentleman that I had a great buyer's experience on that Blueberry Burst Gibson Les Paul. He commented just yesterday about what a great experience it was, how much he enjoyed the guitar. But he's a true guitarist. I mean, he was a joy to interact with, and he actually traveled, and we met at the police station, just like I said. But the guitar is a relatively maintenance-free investment. Now you may go, well, you're crazy. Well, that depends on how nuts you get with it. I mean, yeah, you got to change strings. You can go crazy over having a buzz on the higher registers near the body of the guitar that you never play, but you just can't stand it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, an electrical guitar, okay, you're going to generate a itty bitty amount of electricity that nobody even thinks about. An acoustic guitar, only if you plug it in. But the acoustic guitar, you can just play. You don't have to. If you play with others, you can, or you can just play and enjoy your craft. Part of the reason when I make the decision, am I going to get rid of this guitar? And I accept and I'm grateful for the blessing it was to me, how it helped my hand, how it allowed my grandchildren and sons and my wife and daughters-in-laws to pick having guitars that because we're a music family. And so, I asked, did this guitar serve a purpose? Is it still serving that purpose? Or am I kidding myself? And at 64 years old, thinking I'm still going to hit the nightclub circuit. Well, I might. I doubt that very seriously. I may play in some worship settings and things like that, but, sometimes you have to be realistic. And so the pro of it is it's a hobby that keeps on giving. I've said this many times. I don't ever want to master the guitar. That's one of the loves I have, and I feel like the blessing from God is the creativity. I will never master the guitar, and I don't want to. Do I want to get better at it? Absolutely. Do I want to continue to learn stuff? Absolutely. Do I want to help others learn? Well, that's why I'm here. I'm making some decisions on my channel. I told you I'm going to weed out some of the videos. Immediately, I had some other YouTubers like, you're crazy. Somebody may look at it and you'll make some revenue. I don't care. I don't want people trying to learn something to go down a rabbit hole on my channel or look at my playlist and go, oh my God, I don't even know where to go. So is it going to hurt my dinky monetization? Probably. And that's okay. That's not the reason I got into this. All right. So with that said, now let's go to the cons. Well, first of all, you've got to keep them, unless you do want to damage them, and depending on where you live, you have to keep them climate controlled. This is one of many hygrometers I have, and you can see I'm sitting at 53% humidity. Well, I'm in the Birmingham, Alabama area. It's humid. You just heard back there in the corner below my father's B-17 medals he got in World War II and his crew on the stage door canteen. That is one of several dehumidifiers and humidifiers I have in my home. And down here I have to empty it all the time because, man, we got humidity. Now, if you live out in places of Arizona that are dry, then you're going to have to put some humidity into the air. So, and so what happens if you don't control humidity? Well, all kind of things. The neck can shrink, expand, contract. You get fret sprout, which, fret sprout would be, okay, here's the fingerboard of the neck. So here's your frets, which are actually metal or steel or whatever they are. And so as the fingerboard expands, contracts, it can draw inward. And then you have sticking out frets because there's not enough humidity for the guitar. And I've done videos about how to deal with that, everything from what I do in a room environment to devices that Diadiero, Martin, and several make, humidipacks that you can put in the guitar sound hole, you can put in the case. Almost every guitar I've got in a case has a Diadiero dual humidipack in there, which handles both when it needs humidity and when it's got too much. So that's something you have to do. The other thing is, well, personally, I believe guitars were meant to be played. I try to remember that they came from a living tree. I'm very proud of our industry, although I have been, hit on by trolls in the comments. Y'all are just chopping down trees, and I've addressed that. And there are many guitar makers that have their own forest, that try to find sustainable woods, that try to be environmentally sound. So, you know, uh, the con as far as the wood and all that goes, you got to take care of it. Well, if you got a bunch of guitars, that's more and more to take care of. Um, Guitars, if they're not played regularly, that can affect the tuning and the strings. And if you don't wipe them down, if you have oily hands like I tend to have, you can create rust issues on the strings. So they've got to be wiped down, maintained. A lot of people go, oh, phooey on that. Okay. Some guitars seem almost indestructible. They're just, they're kind of like Willie Nelson's famous guitar with the hole in it and this, that, and the other, and what have you. So, that's one of the cons of having multiple guitars. And I could go on and on with the cons, but I don't want to drag this on forever. The biggest con for me is storage. And when I talk to other guitarists that have a collection, it becomes their biggest con too. Now, people that have, 3,000 plus square feet homes, and some people I know actually have them in climate controlled storage buildings where they have to pay a monthly fee, to store them. I just don't want to do that. I am literally right now out of room. I'm out of room. Yeah, I could do some other things. I actually talked about taking this wall here, that there's only two guitars. You see the cases. There's only two guitars hanging there, and getting a string joint going all the way down. Boy, I could put 10, 15 more guitars there. Well, you can't see, but behind my desktop, iMac desktop here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guitars. There's more. I'm running out of room. I simply am running out of room. And it's getting old. It is. It's getting old. And it may not ever get old to you. Think about Joe Bonamassa's collection and all these people that have unbelievable connections. So I'm not telling you to have a collection. I'm not telling you to not have a collection. I'm trying to share the pros and the cons. So storage has become a big issue to me. I like cases, and I like good cases. Now, I'm a big advocate of some of these better, soft cases, gig bags, as you will. I really think we need to come up with a better name. In fact, I think Taylor makes some of the best non-hard gig bags that there are. They're very strong. They're sturdy. If you pick them up, they don't flop. Could you drop it off a mountain? No. But that's a whole nother video in and of itself. But some of my better guitars are in cases, not because I'm an advocate they have to be in a case. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd much rather never put a guitar in a case, but I want the case. I catch 22. I'd rather every guitar I have be where I could get to it. I really would, because I'm going to play it more. So I'm being realistic with myself. I'm trying to whittle my collection of over 40 guitars down to 5 to 10 guitars. And am I going to lose some money? Not as far as I'm concerned. Because a lot of times I treat the guitars, it's a hobby. I'm going to get something for them, even if it's the joy of giving it to someone that I see really wants to learn guitar, but they can't afford it. And I've given several away, and I got to tell you, it's a better feeling. I'm not telling you that's what you got to do with all your guitars. I'm not telling you that at all. I'm telling you, when I see somebody like a worker, on my couple acres of property, and he notices my guitars, and he starts, I can tell he's played before. because he knows he knows the lingo, and he's just like, yeah, I had to sell my guitar, to pay bills. Well, I had to do that too many, many years ago. I know that feeling. And so it's a great feeling to give somebody something. I'm not going to give away a, a standard Les Paul. I'm talking about a stupid deal of the day I got for $100, that I used in a video. My grandkids got to see if they liked it. They didn't. So, there's that. But for the most part, I'm going to get something for the guitar. I'm not a big advocate of Guitar Center. I'm not even going to go there. I've went there before, but I could. I get very irritated at somebody when Guitar Center starts making claims of how experienced their people that will value your guitar of, and they market that they have decades of experience, and I see somebody, and I'm not knocking youth, we all had to start somewhere, but then somebody that hadn't even been alive for 2 decades is gonna try to make me feel like they're an expert about a guitar and what it's worth. No, you go ahead. I've used Guitar Center. I've had some pleasant experience. I still buy from them. There's a place for them, but I'm not running to Guitar Center. But there's all kind of ways to sell guitars. And my point is, though, you're going to get something probably back, whether it be trade, a little bit of money, making somebody joy and happy. So, this has gotten to a point to where, as much as I love guitars, as much as I feel blessed, and I have guitars that I treat as art too. You see these on the back wall? Those are all Lunas. I love Luna guitars. I did a video about how I think Luna is one of the most underrated major manufacturers they are. And no, nobody from Luna ever contacted me either. But I mean, there's a Dreadnought, there's a travel guitar, there's a concert ukulele, and there's the Starry Night travel guitar. They're a piece of art in my book, but they play well too. So, I will keep those as artwork. It's just a nice perk that they play well too. So, one of the biggest cons of having a big guitar collection, in my view, and it's simply a subjective point of view, is I believe guitars should be played, and they're not getting the love that they should get from me because I have too darn many of them. I don't feel bad about the fact that I got them. They helped me greatly. They provided joy. They provided joy to my family, but I don't want something I love to become bothersome. Now, here's the last con. Last one. Keeping up with them, having to make sure that they all get played, having to make sure they're all in tune. Everywhere I walk around, I've got some kind of a tuner, and on my phone as well. It takes away from playing the guitar. It takes away from learning. It takes away from practicing my scales and practicing anchoring chords and going from one chord to the next and things like that. So now it's starting to for me, and it's subjective. I said for me, it's starting to become a hassle. It's starting to take away from my love of the guitar, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm just not going to let that happen. So I made I've justified things, and I've changed my mind so many times, as can be normal for people. Some people are solid as a rock, and more power to you. I try to be, until I feel like it's time for some change. So for me now, it's time for some change. I need to get back to playing the guitar, even though I do every day. And I said I try to end my day, me and my wife, before we go to bed, and she's knitting, I'm playing the guitar, and it's a lovely time in our life. But keeping up with these guitars is taken away from my journey. And now something I haven't done that I've heard other people done, they think that if I just get another guitar, I'll play better. Well, okay. There is some little bit to that in the fact that if you've got a guitar that you can't press down, the action can't be relieved or made any better than it is, and it's just making learning to play difficult, well, okay. But you don't have to buy 100 of them to find that. I mean, I went through a physical deformity change. So, and maybe you are too, and I pray for your success. But thinking that getting something better can make you better at things. It can. But if that's all you ever chase, then I think you're going to get away from technique, practice, and things like that. That's just my subjective view. So anyway, I just wanted to present some pros and some cons of having a big guitar collection. And I hope it helps you, but I don't think people want to waste money, and I don't feel like I wasted one dime. I mean, like I said, they served their purpose. They brought me joy. They brought my family joy. It's time to get rid of some of them. So that's where I'm at with my guitar journey and my guitar collection. But my guitar journey remains blessed, and I hope yours remains blessed and is always blessed, and you always have something to learn. And most of all, and I do mean this, happy picking.